Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the All Caps podcast number 14. It's a lot luckier than number 13. There ain't no party like the Legalise Cannabis party, because the Legalise Cannabis party goes to bed early because we get sleepy. Now, my very special guests joining us on the line here from Argentina and the wilds of the unsettled north, Maki Herbert. What we're going to be talking about today is Argentina and how the cannabis and all of that kind of stuff is working. So, Maki, if you'd be able to introduce our wonderful guest and get us going, please.
Good morning, everybody. Atamari, kia ora. We're very lucky today to have a special guest all the way from Argentina tuning in with us, and she's very happy to share her experiences, where she's at and what she's doing. So please welcome our special guest all the way from Argentina. And can you introduce yourself, please, Aotearoa?
Yeah, sure. Hi, how are you, everyone? Hi, Maki. Hi, everyone. Vincent. My name is Guillermina Minicucci, and I am a cannabis therapist, and I work as such in my town. So I have been contacted by you guys to share my experience, and the experience that I have is mostly medicinal. What can I talk about? I think it's not much about politics, but yes, about the great results that the cannabis gives to diseases, to many of them. So feel free to ask me whatever you want.
Maki, would you like to start off? Oh, Maki is frozen, unfortunately. She does have a Northland internet connection, unfortunately, to match the location. So you're back with us now, Maki.
I might just have to go on my phone. I'll just try and see if I can go on my phone.
Unfortunately, we are live now, so it will work and that kind of thing. Well, in that case, I do want to launch in with a question. What got you interested in using cannabis as a medicine?
Well, that's a good question. Actually, I am an Ayurvedic therapist, and in our pharmacology book, in our herbal book, 5,000 years old, is already written in the cannabis as a medicine, and we use it in many preparations. So actually, it's something that we did already since 5,000 years ago as a Ayurvedic practitioner, but now it's a little bit hip to start with the cannabis therapy. So I had to add to or complement to my studies, let's say, some courses to be able to handle in a better way, in a proper way, responsible way, the treatments. So that took me to make 2 courses with the United States. And actually, it's a complement to what we do with Ayurveda. It's part of our pharmacology.
How so?
Well, as I say, we have many preparations. We use it. Actually, if you go to India, you can have a lassi that is made. It's like a shake, a milkshake made out of cannabis and milk or buttermilk and an ice. And that they sell it as a refreshment, but it's also medicinal. It's allowed, it's legal. And of course has the medicinal effect 40 minutes later. So most of the tourist people think, 10 minutes after, nothing happened, take another one. Nothing happened, 10 minutes later, take another one. By an hour and a half, they are a bit gone, but it's how it works. So as that medicine, we have many more. So we have preparations that we make with butter, with clarified butter as well. Because cannabis has, since biblical times, enormous effects, in positive effects in the diseases in the humans. And actually, I have patients that they are dogs as well. So many patients, they come and they say, hey, my dog has convulsions or things. Can I give some drops? Yeah, sure. So we do that too. So the results are amazing. The results are amazing to use it as an oil or vaporizing it, or as well making a balsam. Because what we've lost in our diet actually is to be able to eat cannabis in the form of seed oils as a complement for our diet since centuries, since, let's say, thousands of years. So nowadays, what we call our endocannabinoid system, which is the connection between all our cells in the body, the synapses they call it, is the endocannabinoid system, is not working properly because it hasn't been fed with the proper cannabinoid since centuries, let's say. So now is the era of start again to use it as a medicine or as a complementary diet as well.
Did that?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Sorry?
I do something similar. I make cannabis roots, a therapy with cannabis roots and rice bran oil, and I infuse that, and I've had so much successful feedback on my remedies that it's doing pretty much everything that you can ask for from one plant and more. The results that I'm getting back, it's helping with Parkinson's, it's helping with mood swings and Alzheimer's and dementia patients. It's helping with moods for giving up cigarettes. Of course, the arthritis and the pain relief that you get from it as well. And I make my butter as well, so same as you guys.
Yeah, actually, when you help with cannabis to reconnect your cells, communication, it happens something, the name is homeostasis, we call it in Spanish. I don't know in English word.
Homeostasis. It's when your homies are all cool, bro.
Well, it brings you back into balance, doesn't it?
Everything becomes automatically in balance. So if you have depression, if you have insomnia, if you have fibromyalgia, doesn't matter what you have, is gonna repair it. So I have the testimony of at least 95% of my patients with fibromyalgia. They stop taking medicine, and not because I tell them to, because with protocol, I'm not allowed to say, don't take that medicine that the doctor gave you. So I'm very respectful in that. But they talk with the doctors, and some doctors are very open to say, okay, stop it and keep going with cannabis because it's what is good for you. So they stop with medicines and they just try cannabis, and the result is amazing. People stop having pains with fibromyalgia, start to sleep better, depression rise up. Also, I have a lot of experience with cancer patients that works very good against pain. Let's say the patients, cancer patients, they have very intense pain, and cannabis help enormously. In that case, they use the vaporizer to demand, when comes the pain, they use it, and a couple of sips, or I don't know how you say it, and then they stop, and maybe 3 hours later again, but it works amazingly.
I'd like to ask a question of both of you. When was the last time you saw something amazing that you didn't think would happen when you used cannabis on a patient?
Actually, with cancer patients, I had a very severe case with the cancer was open up in the skin, and everything was raw, and the person started to vaporize and stop having pain. So I was amazed, because I thought, well, it's gonna work, but how much can it work? I mean, it has wound totally open and was really, really heavy, and it worked. And I was shocked, really, not because I underestimate the plant, because the contrary, but I was shocked the level of working and power that had in that case.
What about you, Maki?
Well, some will know that I've actually been going to the markets and sharing my medicinal cannabis looks like. And so yesterday, one of my patients actually found me at the market, came up and said to me, cancer person, that it's just been such a relief not to be having this pain thing happening in the head and all over, that she's actually able to go to the market. She hasn't done that for over 6 months. Being able to walk in with people around, feel like she's a person, a human, working, functioning the way she wants to function without the pain. So how can that not be good for you? And to see a person in front of you who was almost a cripple with pain is right in front of you talking like there's no pain in her face, in her body language. It's very humbling. And to know that our governments have suppressed this medicine for so long, it's shame on them. It actually brings me to tears that our governments, our authorities have kept this from us.
I wanted to ask you a question as well, Guillermina, about Ayurveda. If it's been using cannabis in its medical practices for 5,000 years, how's the last 100 years of prohibition been going for the industry?
Well, it happened that in India it's allowed to use it, and in some countries not. So we are practitioners doing Ayurveda and with plants that we cannot use in some countries. So that's a pity. But in India, you have industry that they work with. They make pills, but it's something else that I would like to say. When they use cannabis as a medicine, they use also another herb to, let's say, balance the high effect. You know, so the person doesn't get that feeling, so they neutralize that feeling, but still the medicine works as such. And there is something more important. It cannot be overdoses of cannabis. It doesn't exist. The problem is the prejudice, because cannabis has been used since the last 50 years as a recreational herb, and we forgot how medicinal it was, and that create a prejudice about the plant. And they think, oh, because some guy which is not well dressed and doesn't have a job smoke marijuana, then all the smokers are the same. And it's not like that. That is prejudice. So we need to get over that, and we need to realize that we're dealing with a plant that is gonna take over many pharmaceuticals. Already America tried to synthesize it without success, fortunately for me, because I think the herb should be used as such. But I think that's a good thing that didn't take over yet the pharmaceutical in the plant. But it's going to come any laboratory that will succeed, and that is going to be a pity. But it's going to take over many treatments, and it's gonna be no business for many doctors as well.
Yay!
Are you concerned that perhaps those interests might want the cannabis legalized in a method that they can control? The pharmaceutical industry and things like that perhaps stand to lose business as a result of a legal cannabis market. When the legalization comes through, would they be making an effort to make sure it's their kind of legalization, a market that they can control, supplies that they can have a monopoly on, that kind of thing? Are you concerned about that at all?
I am. And you, Maki?
Yeah, totally, because there's a whole lot of us that are organic and want to be able to make our own medicine the way we know how it works for us. And we can add what we want to it. We don't want necessarily to go to the doctor and have a prescription. However, that will be part of the picture for a lot of people who are a mainstream society that want to go to the doctor and get the pill, who don't want to be organic like most of us. So I think there's a place for both of us, but as we know, surgical pharmacy co-ops, they're very rich and they can manipulate anything they want. And so that's where I come from on the organic side of the medicine.
Mm. How does it affect a country, do you think, when it comes to, if you've got a medicine that's freely available to everybody, I believe that if they're capable of growing it, if they're educated by the government, how to process it, how to use it responsibly, how to use it primarily as a health supplement, not in terms of a balm or whatever as a first port of call, but as a nutrition source. Now, it means that a lot of the diseases potentially that many people do develop later in life might not even come up in the first place.
Well, prevention's always better than sorry. I was just going to say prevention is prevention is better than the ambulance at the bottom of the hill.
Mm. If I may, one point to add on to that, if it's done as a nutritional plant, it can be given to children in their breakfast cereal. There's no psychoactive effects. They're not gonna get high off of their cannabis puffs or whatever. So there you got healthy kids, healthy adults, a healthy country. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Why wouldn't somebody want that? Is my question. Is it because it's more profitable?
Well, I shouldn't talk about politics because I know nothing. But I know when they have the power, they can control the mind. And a child that is with bad nutrition is a child that doesn't think properly. So in some governments, that is good. Is what I want. Create a nation that people that they don't think properly and they have a low IQ. The seed is very nutritional, has a lot of proteins in it, and has been used, as I said, since thousands of years. There are archaeological evidence that they found in jars in Israel, seeds of cannabis. So they have been using it. I mean, is a seed that you could make flakes and use it as a dessert, as a breakfast with fruits, and it's a protein source.
It's a whole food, isn't it?
It's not just been used by mankind. It's been something that has been worshipped and made central to our survival throughout mankind's history, hasn't it?
Well, the Asians, the Japanese have used it for billions of years, as long as they've actually been in existence. And they've proven that over all this time that it's very important to our lifestyle. It's only the law that makes it.
I think, well, they use it in textile as well.
Yes.
To use it for on a ship, you know, the
canvas
cloth,
sails.
The sails?
Sails, yeah. So they use it since many thousands of years. And I think they need politicians, they need to get over the prejudice about, but it's not only about politics, this is about a huge power in pharmaceutical matters. Because don't forget that cannabis is also, when you do cannabis, you do preventive medicine. And if you do preventive medicine, you don't get sick. And if you don't get sick, what are they going to do, the pharmaceuticals and the doctors? So it's a whole circle that keeps going around. And actually, the industrials and everyone wants us to get sick so we can keep feeding that circle. So there are many angles to approach, I think, the legal problem, the legal thing of cannabis.
I think you're right. In fact, funny you should say that. I had a thought that occurred to me just before the show that I'm doing this podcast, you're doing your health thing, Maki's doing her health thing, and she's doing the political platform. It means that this is the one problem that we're all attacking from multiple different angles, isn't it? And I think that the more people that we have paying attention to this problem of cannabis prohibition from their own angle, the better the effect will be over a broad brush area. And that's essentially what we need. Now, I was watching Chris Hedges talking about the totalitarian world, under the corporate world, and how its end game is essentially that we wouldn't be able to provide for ourselves, and we would only be able to get provided what we need by somebody else, having no independence, essentially. This plant gives us 50,000 industrial products right out of the ground. This plant gives us total healing factor and complete homeostasis for every human vessel right out of the ground. This plant gives us freedom and independence right out of the ground. That is what is so important to me politically, socially, and economically about this plant, and particularly the people who use it and propagate it and its ideas. So thank you very much, ladies, for doing what you do, and thank you very much for everybody else who I have not named, who is doing their own little bit to make this change happen.
Totally. And I'd like to thank our guest from all the way from Argentina to actually making the time to share your experiences, so people know that it's actually really happening and there's no reason why it can't happen here in Aotearoa. And all those green fairies all over the world, please keep up with all your wonderful work, because if it wasn't for us, then there'd be no hope. And now we're giving you hope. And that's really important, to be positive about living as much as you can with quality of life. So from me and our team, Aotearoa, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maki. Thank you, Vincent, for interviewing me. It has been very interesting, and I love you guys that you keep fighting for a good quality of life for everyone.
That same presentation I was talking about before, he said that good attracts good, and faith is believing that even when there is no evidence of its existence. You know,
Wow.
You put your flag up and you say, I'm going to do the right thing, I'm going to do what is good, and it doesn't matter whether or not you see the evidence that everybody's behind you. Somebody will come along, somebody will be behind you, and it's just about having that faith, that hope in each other. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to the All Caps podcast number 14. I do want to remind you that down in the description there are donation buttons. You can join up on the ALCP. There is a little blue sign up button on the home page. We have a YouTube channel, a Patreon page, we have a Twitter, we have all manner of links down in there. Now, if you want to be a candidate, if you want to perhaps join the party as a member, more than welcome. Very small donations between $2, $5 and $20 to sign up and become a member. That allows you to join the annual general meetings and vote on what policies this party will actually do. Without your involvement, ladies and gentlemen, this party could not have existed the last 21 years. And I believe unless we encourage more of you to get involved within the next few years leading up to the next election, we won't survive. I want this party to be victorious, ladies and gentlemen. I want this wave of cannabis awareness to carry us all the way into Parliament. It is time to stop kicking the can down the road. It is time to stop censoring what we say for fear of what others might think of us. It is time for victory, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing less. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Vinny Eastwood, Maki Herbert, and Guillermina. Thank you very much.